Time for a look at this morning's papers now. Joining me, the author and broadcaster Emma Wolfe and the entrepreneur Kate Hardcastle. Emma and Kate, good to see you again. Thanks for being with us this morning. Let's start with the front of the Observer, Kate, and this is your story that you've picked up, and it's about human shields. We've heard so much about people being used as human shields, civilians, in the war in Ukraine. What are they saying about children being used now? And this is Ukraine who's saying this, we have to say.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, Kimberly, because this is just a morning of terrible news in the main, and it's hard to listen to. I do appreciate that. But you're quite right to point out that these are accusations that have been made by Ukraine, that Russia has been taking children as hostage and placing those children around vehicles to enable the movement of vehicles, enable the convoy. And it's just yet another barbaric story, if true, in terms of the conflict. I think young people, children, are the most innocent, and if it's hard to read, it's the reality of what is happening and living through for people out there witnessing these potential acts is horrific. It's barbaric.
No, it's very difficult to even process, really, isn't it, what's going on there? Let's look at the Sunday Times, Emma, the front there. They're talking about refugees and saying that the refugees minister says they won't have to process their visas. They won't have to wait to process their visas for 2 days. Obviously, a lot of questions as to why they would even need visas.
Yeah, this is the Refugees Minister, Richard Harrington, who's now promising that those fleeing Ukraine will not have to wait longer than 2 days. He's saying that those visas will be processed within 48 hours. And he's pledging to bring in around 15,000 refugees a week. We saw that fabulous response from the public to the Homes for Ukraine scheme, but obviously a very, very slow response from the government. So far, only hundreds of refugees have actually arrived in this country, whereas actually thousands and thousands of people have opened their homes, opened their hearts, and said that they will offer rooms to refugees. It's still the case that checks are taking far too long. These application processes, these documents, 50, 60 pages worth of documents, demands for passports, for visas, things like that people simply don't have when they're fleeing their homes in the most dreadful situations, as Kate outlines there. They're fleeing from a war zone.
Okay, well, let's leave the Ukraine and talk about Ofsted, because they have a new, a new inspection framework. Kate, this is your story. What is this about a pop quiz and how it's unfair to schools?
Okay, Emma, Kimberly, throw me the soapbox because I'm about to get on it. The story is about Ofsted inspection, and there has been claims from certain schools, particularly one in Wimbledon that's been downgraded, if you like, after one of these inspections, that part of the inspection includes the Ofsted inspector going and speaking to children and asking them pop quiz type questions. So that might be in terms of a geography question, can you name certain rivers? And these are facts that perhaps the children haven't been taught or been engaged with for a couple of years, and that it's a pushback from the school saying this isn't fair. Ofsted have pushed back and said, actually, this is just part of the whole inspection, and there's too much focus being placed on this. The soapbox is for the following reasons. We have got young people that have just had 2 years through a pandemic. They are some of the bravest amongst us. Think about the impact. Think about them being separated from school and learning and education. I know we're limited on time, but our young people need all the support they can get right now. They don't need anything that's going to make them feel as if they're not getting the learning they deserve. The teachers are doing incredible work. And indeed, when we go in and do those pop quiz questions, can it be about really important things, about how they manage their finances or their mental health and support, rather than just the names of rivers?
There's always that argument about education, isn't there? That it needs to be a bit more practical, a few more life skills. Okay, gambling. Gambling, we really have a problem in this country, don't we, about gambling? What is the Mail on Sunday taking from this?
So we really do have a problem with online gambling, absolutely. Gambling in general. These are proposed affordability checks being brought in by the government. It's long, long, long overdue that we know that the gambling industry really does need a shake-up. Many, many vulnerable punters are losing, hundreds of thousands of pounds. They're losing their homes, they're losing their marriages because of online gambling. So the government is proposing, the DCMS is proposing that they're going to be sort of affordability checks for punters. So if you lose more than a certain amount, they're going to want details from you, proof that you can afford to keep on gambling. As I say, the details are pretty sketchy, whether it might be pay slips or bank statements or something like that. The threshold isn't clear. You lose over £100, if you lose thousands of pounds, how will they actually check how you can afford it, what you can afford? The other thing, Kimberly, is that it won't be in sort of bookmakers' high street shops. It'll only be in the online sort of gambling sphere. So, yeah, there's no doubt that we need to do something about problem gambling in this country. But so far, the government hasn't come up with any clear proposals as yet.
Definitely a big problem. Let's talk about Doha and beer. This is the Sunday Mirror, because a lot of people, I don't think, realise that in Doha, if you want to buy alcohol, you need a licence, and there's only alcohol sold in hotels and licensed venues, and they're not easy to come by, and it's also really expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a big shift in the UAE generally. I've been working over there, and I've noticed, particularly since going back, and Dubai's just had its Expo 2020 for 6 months, there has been relaxation on many rules, and the working week started to shift over there as well. But this is, Qatar, Doha is all about the World Cup, this feature, and it's very much about how they want to, the Qatar tourism body want to ensure that people going over there to see the football will feel welcomed and feel they're enabled to be able to buy alcohol. This will be in pop-up bars only and in the hotels. There will still be no alcohol served within the stadium, and you're quite right to point out, Kimberly, that often this will still be at a premium price point. A lot of people have talked about the fact that there are alcohol sponsors of the World Cup, and therefore maybe they can do something to try and bring the prices down. But any visitors have been asked to respect the local culture, which makes sense. At the end of the day, the most important thing here surely is the physicality of the game and the players and the engagement and the competition.
Okay,
and
we've got to leave it there.
The alcohol should be...
We've got to leave it there. Kate and Emma, thank you so much. Have a fantastic Sunday. Still to come on Sky News Breakfast, we'll bring you